All right, let's jump right in. We're going to tackle a really fascinating puzzle today, something that sits at the very heart of Islamic theology. It's all about the idea of belief or creed, and a really surprising fact about how the Quran talks about it, or maybe how it doesn't talk about it.
So where do we start? Well, our whole investigation kicks off with something missing. Something you totally expect to be there, but it's just not. We're on the hunt for a specific, super foundational word. And believe me, the fact that it's absent, that tells a huge story all by itself.
Okay, so here's the big question, the one this whole thing hinges on. You've probably heard the word Aqeedah, right? It's the standard Arabic term for someone's creed, their core theological beliefs. It's a massive deal in Islamic scholarship. So, is that exact word actually in the Quran? And the answer is nope. Just a simple, straight-up no. The noun Aqeedah is nowhere to be found in the Quran. And get this, the verb form, like to hold a creed in that specific way, that's gone too. I mean, for a book that's all about faith, that's kind of mind-blowing, isn't it?
Okay, I know what some of you are probably thinking. Hold on a second. I could swear I've heard words that sound just like that in the Quran. And you're not wrong. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. They don't mean what you think they mean. So let's untangle this little bit of confusion. So it's a really subtle but super important difference. The Quran does use words from the exact same root. You'll see things like uqdat an-nikah, which is a marriage contract, or aqtum al-ayman, which means oaths that you've made. But see the pattern? These are all about external things, like literal contracts you can hold. They're not al-aqeedah, that deep, internal, personal belief in God that we're talking about.
So, if the word isn't there, why? What's going on? This is where things get really interesting because we're moving past just a language fact and into a pretty deep philosophical concept. The reason it's missing actually shows us something beautiful about how the text and the real world are meant to mirror each other. Which, of course, brings us to the next big question, right? If the word itself is missing, does that mean the whole concept is missing? Does the Quran just not care about what you believe?
And the answer to that is found in this amazing analogy. The idea is that the Quran is like the red book, and the universe is the seen book. They're reflections of each other. Think about it. I can look at you, but I can't see your creed inside you. And in the same way, when you look at the Quran, you're not going to just find a label that says, the creed. It's an internal thing, not an external tag.
Okay, so if it's not a noun, if it's not a label, then where is it? How does the Quran talk about belief? And here's the big reveal. It doesn't talk about belief as some static thing you just have. It shows belief as something you do.
This is the key to the whole puzzle. Instead of just slapping a noun on it, the Quran shows us belief through action words, through verbs. It completely reframes it, not as something you own, but as a dynamic, living process.
So how does that actually work? Let's break it down. It's like a sequence of actions. First, you have the verb to believe. When you link that to God, you're already affirming He exists. Then, take it a step further. The act of seeking refuge, you can't do that unless you first believe there's someone to seek refuge with. And finally, seeking help. You wouldn't ask for help unless you believed there was someone there who could help you, right?
Let's look at a perfect example, seeking refuge. When someone says, A'udhu billah, I seek refuge in God, that's an action. It's a verb. And for you to say that with any meaning, you have to, by definition, believe that God exists to give you that refuge. The creed is baked right into the action itself.
Or think about this powerful story. When the prophet Moses told his people, seek help from God, he didn't sit them down for a theology lesson or give them a checklist of things to believe in. Nope. The command was the test. By actually doing it, by seeking God's help, their action was their proof of faith. That was their declaration.
Okay, so let's recap. We've seen that the word Aqeedah isn't there, and that instead, belief is shown through doing. So, what's the big picture here? What's the ultimate takeaway from all this?
Well, the reason the Quran can do all this is because it operates on a very powerful foundational premise. It doesn't treat the existence of God like some theory that needs to be debated and proven. It's treated as a given, a self-evident truth, the basic reality of everything. It's the starting point for the conversation, not the thing we're trying to prove.
And that leads to a really profound conclusion. If God's existence is the starting point, and if belief is shown through what you do, then what really matters? What's the ultimate measure of a person? It's not the words you say or the creed you claim to have. It's what your actions show. You're held accountable for what you do.
So, we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. If we follow this logic, that our actions are the real proof of what's going on inside, then it forces us to ask a pretty personal question, doesn't it? What do our actions, day in and day out, really say about us? What do they demonstrate that we truly believe?